Hello and welcome to episode 35 of the Roll Jump Media Podcast. I am joined once again by my co hosts, my illustrious co hosts, Jose and Luis. Happy Saturday once again, everybody. How's it going?
Hope everyone's having a good weekend.
Oh,
Good
can you
morning.
say
Good
that one more
morning.
time? I had y'all muted. I'm sorry.
Right. Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are having a good weekend.
All right.
Good morning. The first Saturday of February, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You're
Yep.
correct. All right. Nice to hear you guys are doing well. What we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about Nintendo and Sony's financial results. We're going to be talking about the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Google Stadia internal development shutting down, and much more. And when I say much more, we got a gang of stuff to talk about or mention. But before we do all of that, of course, we have to talk about what we've been playing. So, without further ado, let's talk about them video games.
Bitcha games. All right. So I'll go first. Um, so I think once again I'm beginning to like stop playing as much. I haven't been playing as much this week. I've only been focusing on my 2DS, and I've been playing Monster Hunter Stories. I'm pretty sure I'm in the last um, part of the game, like the main story. So I'm just trying to play through that. That way I can like focus on the next game that I want to play, which is probably gonna be Mario 3D World.
Oh, yeah.
Um, that's coming out next week. But yeah, I mean it's I haven't been playing that much on my Switch or my PS5. Um, and I've been focusing on my 2DS game. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, Monster Hunter Stories. That's a good game. That's a good game. Cool.
It is. It is. It's a pretty fun game. I was pleasantly surprised.
Nice.
All right. So for me, it's been pretty slow as well. Um, I've been playing mainly Pokemon Soul Silver on the 3DS. I'm revisiting that game. I had first started with Pokemon X, and then well, I just started with Pokemon Soul Silver. I'm doing the Nuzlocke challenge,
Hmm.
and I'm just enjoying playing that game. Like I think I've mentioned this before. Soul Silver is my favorite Pokemon game in the entire series.
Well, if he didn't say
And
before, it's on record now.
yes, it's official now.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I mean it's just a fun game. There's a lot to do. Um, a lot of uh, post game content that most other games in the series lack. So it's one of the reasons why it's my favorite. But um but yeah, it's been fun. I've been playing that. And I think I've played a bit of Smash again. I'm just completing the adventure mode. I'm almost there actually, so I'm almost done completing it. And yeah, that's been it.
Okay, some quality games as well. Nice. As for me, I've been giving my PS3 some action, man. I just felt nostalgic, and I just wanted to boot up that PS3 for those nostalgic times. The games that I tried out or revisited, rather. This one's pretty quick. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier. This is a third person tactical shooter that I've been craving for a while. And I remember I got this game and I'm like, I wonder if the multiplayer is still going. So I tried out the multiplayer. It's pretty dead, but there was like a few people playing still. And I managed to get into a match. And how do you think that match went?
It was it went smooth. Oh, or did you do horribly? Because like the other people
Yeah,
were still.
the latter.
All right.
Yeah, so you guessed right. Those people were freaking amazing at the game, and I was very rusty. Did not know what I was doing, basically. And I hate to say it, I don't do this, right? I don't do this in games, but I guess I do it now. I rage quit. There was like it was like a 15-minute
Dang.
match or something, or it felt like it. I'm like, dude, I have like 7 minutes left, and I'm just gonna keep getting my butt kicked.
But
I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, like this is torture. I gotta get out of here. What made it worse is that he styled on me. Like he did a combat roll on the ground, turned around, shot me, and I was just standing there like a doofus. And like that's supposed to be me. I want to do that, and it hurt my soul. It hurt my soul. Not gonna lie. But
Yeah,
anyway,
that happens, when you go back to like, especially like multiplayer games. I remember I would like go back to Uncharted um 2 multiplayer,
ooh,
and yeah, it's rough.
yeah. Well, that's not speaking to the quality of the game. The game's fun. Like I
Mhm.
remember it, but man, going back to the PS3, those frames, man. We were playing at like 20 frames per second back in the day,
Yeah, and we were
and
happy.
yeah, we were happy about it. So it's funny. It's funny to see how that works.
Yeah.
Another game that I was very nostalgic for. It's a Capcom game. It's called Lost Planet 2. Have you heard of Lost Planet before?
What was it?
Lost Planet. It's called Lost
Lost
Planet,
Planet?
but I have Lost Planet 2.
I don't think I've heard
Mm,
about it. Yeah, neither have I.
okay. So what Lost Planet is, it's a Capcom franchise. It's dormant now, unfortunately, but it is also a third-person shooter. Um, it takes place on this different planet, and there's like monsters inhabiting it. It's kind of how would I compare the monsters? They're really grotesque looking, pretty big most of the time, and they have orange weak spots that you usually have to aim for. And you have different kinds of weapons, explosives. To avoid spoilers, refer to the timestamps in the description. Um, you can for the multiplayer you can do character customization, and they have different unlockables like a Frank West like backpack. I think Wesker's in the game, and Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War. I think probably just on the Xbox version, which is interesting. So uh, yeah, it's a fun third person multiplayer game. As well as, you know what's fun about this though? You can do the campaign co-op,
Ooh.
which is really fun. So you can do like online co-op with your friends if they had the game, but um, nobody else has it but me. And
Yeah, I
it's
just looked it up, and there's like three games.
what happened?
I just looked it up, and there's like three games apparently.
Yeah. There's three games. The first two are held in good high regard, but the third one was developed by some other studio,
Mm,
and it wasn't it wasn't it.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, and I showed you this game before. It was a while back. 3DS game. It was like a third person shooter. It was really stylized manga, like inspiration. But it only got released in Japan. Do you remember me showing you that?
I think I do.
It was called EX Troopers, I believe. And
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and that was a spin-off for Lost Planet that we never got in the West, which was upsetting. But anyway, I did play this one. I couldn't find a match in. This one was super dead. But I but I did have fun playing the game. How it works is that you kind of feel slow, but I don't know, maybe it's my nostalgic talking, but I love the combat role. You have a grapple hook where you can like shoot to ledges, and you can pull yourself up and reach different, you know, levels in the level. And if you fall off of the side of the building, you'll latch on with your grapple hook, and you can like rappel yourself down, which is really fun. And yeah, I was having fun, a lot of fun. Where I was considering getting the PC version, and I'm waiting for a sale to see if I can get people there and have a better frame rate. So fun times.
Nice.
And last night before we played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I played Mass Effect 3's multiplayer, and it's on our Twitch page if you want to check that out. If you've never seen it or if you're nostalgic for it like I was, and we're gonna get to this later, but I'm so upset that it's not part of the Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Well,
Um, yeah. The reasoning behind it, why they said it, was that it was just gonna take too much development time. It was gonna take. I'm I'm thinking I'm not gonna say it because I'm not sure. I don't have the facts, but it was gonna take too much development time, and at the end of the day, it just wasn't worth it for them. So now we're left with the PS3 version or the Xbox 360 PS3 PC, I believe, version, and it's still really fun, man. It's you have like multiple different, like dozens of different characters you can choose from, and they all have different abilities. Like you can spec it into being like a Star Wars force wielding person. They're called biotics. You can be an adept. You can be an infiltrator where you can like stealth and use uh, what is it called? And elemental abilities. Or there's these characters that they introduced later. Like there's free DLC where you can just like get the characters and unlock them as you progress in the game. And one of my favorites, you have a katana, of course, and you have two different abilities. One where you or three, you can cloak, you can teleport behind someone and slice them in the back, or you can send out a shockwave with your katana. And you have different, guns and stuff you can mess with. And combining all those together and having like a co-op horde mode, so it's a co-op horde mode where you play with your friends or randoms against different waves of enemies. It's just a lot of fun. It's the replay value is so high. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I just wish I could get you guys into it, but it's just, man, you gotta have a PS3 and then you need to copy the game. It's the whole thing,
damn. If it had been in like the the this new edition that's coming out,
right?
there could have been a possibility.
Yeah. And then the last one I want to talk about, this is the one I spent the most time in. I picked up a Nintendo 3DS and I replayed Metroid Zero Mission.
Ooh,
Yeah. So Luigi, Luis, I know that you played Zero. I know you played Zero Mission. Um,
right.
do you have any fond memories of Zero Mission?
See, because we were talking about this. Well, I think like either last week or a couple of weeks ago, like with our other friend. Well, with Andres, who couldn't join us today,
Right.
and we were talking about Fusion and Zero Mission. Um, and I was trying to remember what Zero Mission was about, or like what happened in Zero Mission. Um, like I could remember Fusion and like certain details,
Mhm.
and I think Fusion left more of an impact
Sure, sure.
on me.
Hmm.
But I was trying to remember like what happened in Zero Mission, or
Yeah.
how did it play, or how did it look. For some reason, I just couldn't, remember. I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so I wouldn't be able to tell you
Dang.
much about
Okay.
it, honestly.
All
Like
right.
no, like no. I'm not trying to say Zero Mission it's a bad game, uh,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I don't know. I will need to play it again.
Right. All right. So Zero Mission, it's the one where it's a remake of the original Metroid from like 1980,
Right.
1980s. Yeah. To avoid spoilers, refer to the timestamps in the description. So it's the one where you start off in Brinstar, and then you go to the left, get the morph ball, and then you go to the right. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so how it goes is you go from Brinstar, and then you go to different parts of planet Zebes or Zebes, Zebes, I think. It's the
Hmm.
home world of the Chozo, which were basically Samus's adoptive parents. They're like bird-like creatures. They infused her with. I don't wanna. I'm not gonna go into all of it because
Right.
spoilers. But yeah. Mother Brain, she was doing her thing on Zebes, causing havoc. The space pirates and her were like in cahoots. They want to bring in a new order to the world. They were freaking ravaging the Chozo, and Samus was sent by the Federation, or not sent, but she went on a solo mission to solve the problem in her home, basically. And yeah, it's what you think about if we think about like a 2D Metroid game. You go around, get new power ups. Morph Ball, you get the Ice Beam, you get Power Bombs, you get the Gravity Suit, Various Suit, Super Missiles, all that good stuff. And you go around, you fight Ridley, you fight Kraid. You remember the boss fight with Kraid where he was freaking huge in one room, and then you had to shoot his eyes in order to open his mouth, and you shot like missiles into. You remember
Yeah,
that
yeah, I
part?
remember
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, there's boss fights sprinkled around. Uh, I was gonna say I think this game is a 10 out of 10, just like playing it
Hmm.
over again, and because of it, it's just because I think it does a good balance of allowing you to not think too much about solving puzzles unless you're trying to actively go out and get all the power ups in the game.
Right.
So it's just a pleasant experience just going through the game, shooting enemies with especially once you get the wave beam where you can like shoot uh
Hmm.
through freaking walls and
Through the walls, yeah.
platforms. Ooh, and just taking out
That
enemies
is
if
true.
it
Yeah.
feels good. And I don't in Metroid Prime games you can't do that. You can't shoot through the walls and stuff, which is something the 2D Metroid games have the benefit of having. And what else? Yeah. Also, did you ever do the Shine Spark? It was called, where you do the speed boost, and then you crouch, and then you can like fling yourself in different directions.
I did it like once or twice, but I remember I thinking like it was kind of a little complicated to do,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me at
yeah.
least. Yeah.
So for my playthrough, I 100%ed it. So I got all the power ups and
Hmm.
everything, the collectibles, and yo, Nintendo was wildin' when they were they were putting some of this stuff in there because you have to use the Shine Spark for the harder ones, like in succession. So
Yeah.
it's so you have to like speed
Oh, okay.
boost.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
You have to
I
speed
think I remember
boost.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to speed boost kneel, fling yourself in a direction, use slopes in order to reset your shine spark, kneel again, do it
Hmm.
again, do it again, do it again sometimes, and like use the terrain to your benefit in order to just to get that freaking missile expansion or energy tank. And yeah, once you get to the ones that are harder to get, I was thinking to myself, man, um, I think I like Metroid because it doesn't make you think too much until you're trying to 100% it. Like if you're looking for that challenge, then they give it to you, but the gameplay itself, like usually is straightforward enough to where you just enjoy your ride through it. And I was thinking like when I was collecting the final ones, like this is how I feel with Zelda games most of the time. Like, what the f do I do now? Like that's
Hmm.
like that feeling of what the f do I do now. I feel like I'm perpetually feeling that in like other titles like Zelda, but for Metroid, like I feel like they balance it perfectly to where even people like me who aren't necessarily looking for something like that, they find enjoyment out of it because it's not too much,
Right.
which is an interesting connection I made while playing those um playing Zero Mission. So
Hmm.
yeah. And last thing I want to mention, oh man, I tried it on my SP and then the DS. The freaking DS makes the game look so much clearer, man. It's night and
Yeah.
day how clear it makes the game look. Like, what did you play it on? Do you remember?
I think I played it on DS.
Okay, yeah. So you played it on the one
Hmm.
where it makes the image really clear, which was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I want to play Metroid Fusion, but I have to wait a little while. We don't get into that.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, we don't talk
Yeah,
about
dude, but we need a another 2D Metroid.
it.
It's been
Most
a while.
definitely, most definitely. How long did I go? Okay, we're 20 minutes in. It's not that bad. I thought I was going for forever. All right. Are you guys ready to go into the news for this week?
Let's go.
Let's do
Let's do it.
this. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the fast news first and then we'll do the discussion because there's a lot of facts and stuff with this Nintendo financial results stuff that we can dig into. Let's go ahead and knock out the fast news out the way first. All right, so the first thing I'm going to lead off and be selfish about this. Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 14 got
I like how you just start like laughing.
uh, Final Fantasy 14, they got a live stream where they announced a new expansion called Endwalker that's going to be coming in the fall of 2021. What comes with a new expansion in Final Fantasy 14 is a continuation of the story that they've been putting forth and expertly telling, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many others. In addition to the new story that we're going to be getting a new jobs and new areas to explore, which is very very exciting. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that to anybody interested in Final Fantasy 14. Um,
Could this be well, one of the best or the best Final Fantasy that you played?
it is one of the best for sure. The best,
Mhm.
the best, the best. The best is hard because other Final Fantasies nails things that this one doesn't,
Mhm.
just because of the technical limitations.
Right.
But if it had the budget or the quality of animations throughout the whole game, like of a Final Fantasy 7, oof,
Yeah.
it would be number one for sure. Um, Next thing, MLB The Show 2021 is going to be coming to Xbox. So MLB The Show was previously a PlayStation exclusive. This is from Taylor Lyles from The Verge. It is now going to be cross-platform and cross-progression, and it's going to be coming on the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series consoles. You guys a
More
fan?
MLB 41.
Yeah. You guys a fan of baseball?
Only if it's Cricket. Mario Sluggers. Crickets.
Yeah, I'm there with y'all. I'm there with y'all.
Honestly,
But
I didn't even know it was an exclusive for
really,
PlayStation, honestly.
really,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, Xbox, the social media team, they made a big deal. They were like, "Oh my gosh, you guys rejoice!" And then I think PlayStation, I was listening to some people talk about it, and PlayStation
Mhm.
was just like, "Yeah, it's coming to y'all." They weren't really celebrating or nothing. It's just
Yeah.
stating a fact.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's good for the baseball connoisseurs out there.
True.
Yep. Sonic is getting a Netflix series called Sonic Prime. Uh, I got details from Sicker, from My Nintendo News. It's going to be coming in 2022, and it's going to be set in the Sonic video game universe. And crossover potential is possible. Like it's not ruled out. Well, it's the one of the people that's working on it hopes or did not shut down the idea of having a crossover with other Sega franchises in the series. So we might have something pretty crazy and special, hopefully, coming in 2022 for Sonic.
Nice, nice. Is it so it's canon to like the video games?
I don't know if it's going to be canon, but it's going to be set in the video game universe. That's all we know right now.
Mm. Well, good luck to them.
Good luck. Good luck. Actually, I have a little bit of insight. I don't know I don't have the source, unfortunately. I didn't write it down because I didn't expect to say it. But somebody who worked on Ultimate Spider-Man, the TV show from like 2012, um, it it was kind of a goofy show. Like it was really tongue in cheek. Like I didn't like it too much because it was too over the top, like jokey.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're hiring that person back or if somebody who was in that series if they're going to be doing the same thing for Sanic, but we shall see. So, in a similar vein of MLB The Show, college football, the video games are returning. They're going to be developed by EA once again, but they're not going to be called NCAA football anymore. This is from Zach Millsap from CBR.com. Um, yeah, that's basically all the information that we need to know.
Yeah. Hype.
Um, yeah.
Just
You want to say something or should we move on?
kidding. No, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Prince of Persia, the remake that was announced last year, is getting delayed. This is from Jonathan Dornbush from IGN. Jonathan Dornbush says the developers of the remake released a statement on Twitter explaining that. So this is what the developer said. We have made the decision to shift the release for Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake to a later date. This extra development time will enable our teams to deliver a remake that feels fresh while remaining faithful to the original. The remake had been scheduled for March 18th, which had been delayed to uh, we don't have to talk about that. It was meant for March 18th, but it's going to be delayed essentially. You guys think this is good for the game?
I mean, if they're delaying it for a reason, and I mean, it's better to delay it than to release it and you know pull a cyberpunk.
Totally.
So I mean, it's understandable. I hope people are taking it well as well. Um,
I'm sure they are.
just giving their time, especially since it's a remake, and it's kind of like a. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be like an introduction to people who have not played the game, so they need to
Yeah.
be as best as possible.
Yeah, that's well said. Even the people that are fans of Prince of Persia, they're like, this looks kind of whack. Like, I don't know about this. So it's good that they delayed it, in my opinion. All right, we're almost through the quickfire news. Uh, Footage from Super Nintendo World's rides are in the wild. This is from Ian Walker from Kotaku. There's more details about this, but I personally don't want to get spoiled, so I did not go into it. Um, Also, GoldenEye 007. The GoldenEye 007 Xbox 360 remake has leaked. This is from John Porter from The Verge. A remake of the Nintendo 64 classic GoldenEye 007 has leaked online and is playable on PC using an emulator. Video Games Chronicle reports. This remake was never released after it was canceled back in 2008 as it neared completion. So that's pretty interesting. A whole freaking remake just leaked online.
It's from the 360.
Yeah, so there was a 360 remake of GoldenEye 007 that just straight up leaked.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Wow.
I ain't messing with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Emulators and stuff scare me.
Yeah, they're a little sus.
Yeah, just a tad. And the last bit of news we have, there was a little bit of a Silent Hill rousing just recently. This is from Tom Phillips from Eurogamer. So what happened is that Silent Hill composer Akira Yamaoka discussed the fact that he was working on a new project due to be announced this summer in an interview published by AlHub. What Yamaoka said was, "quote I think it's one you're going to, I think it's the one you're hoping to hear about," in reference to the project he's working on. So with that wording, people were like, "Oh my gosh, Silent Hill is coming back." So what happened was that AlHub was asked to remove the interview with Yamaoka, and Silent Hill is published by Konami, so Konami might have had something to do with asking them to remove the interview. So, what do you guys are you guys familiar with Silent Hill? Does the proposition of it being a new project in the Silent Hill franchise being announced this year make you excited?
For me, eh, I haven't really played that many Silent Hills. I've seen gameplays and playthroughs, um, but personally, I've never played a Silent Hill. I think, well, I think the only one I kind of played was, I think it was called Homecoming, which is one of the lesser. Um, it's well, it's not regarded as one of the best. Like I think so
Hmm.
in like the Silent Hill franchise. Um, but I mean, I understand how iconic that franchise is and what it did for the horror genre in video games.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I'd be excited to see a new game, especially after what we saw like in the PT,
Oh, yeah.
which it sucks that that game got canceled because it looked really cool. And I'd be willing to try a new Silent Hill um, in like the in next gen consoles. Uh, but like I don't know if I don't know if let's say if Konami is involved, which it might be because they own that property.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if I trust them to do a good job unless they get like a really good team, good development team. Um,
Totally.
so for me, it's kind of like 50-50. Since I'm not like a huge fan of the franchise and like, I don't have much attachment to it. Um, like it's kind of like, well, sure, we'll see.
Sure, we'll see is a good summation. Silent Hill is usually third person, right? Like a
Yeah.
third person exploration kind of deal.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait and see that announcement to see if I'm down with it or not. Definitely, if it's gonna happen,
If it happens, yeah.
if it happens.
I mean, it's been rumored for years already.
Yeah. All right, so that's gonna do it for the quick news for this week. Now on to the discussions. And boy, do we have a lot to discuss with a lot of details. The first thing we're going to talk about Nintendo's financial results that they just recently posted. And you already know that they already made a lot of money.
Yep.
Yep. So these results are from the beginning of April 2020 to the end of December 2020. Um, Nintendo made $5 billion, about $5 billion in operating profit. So that's earnings after most expenses are accounted for. This is almost doubling their profit during the same time frame in 2019. So compared to 2019, they pretty much doubled their profits in comparison. Quick question: How many when talking about sales, how much of the sales are US based percentage? What do you guys think?
40.
Ooh, you almost hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
42.
America 42. Well, you're technically closer than Louise because it is 41.1%.
True.
Yeah. 41.1% of sales are from the Americas, about 25% from Europe, about 11% from other, and about 22% from Japan. So some fun facts about um, Nintendo sales. Hardware accounted for 54% of the money they made from video game related products. So 54% of the money they made from their video game business was because of hardware, selling switches, things to play games on. Um, this was also pretty interesting. First party games accounted for 81.6% of the money they made from video game software. So the games that they make in house, like the properties they own, that accounted for 81.6% of the money they made from the software that they sold.
I feel like
Um,
that's like a given, because um, Nintendo, a lot of people buy Nintendo because of its properties, like the Zeldas and the Marios and
yeah,
Pokemon. So,
true.
so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and both of those percentages were similar to 2019, so that's not anything new. You're right. Let's see some other facts. There were 176.10 million units of software sales on the Switch, up 43% year over year. The sales were led
Animal Crossing,
by, yes, I was going to mention it, man. You're on it. You're
damn.
on it, dude. The sales were led by Animal Crossing, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Mario 3D All Stars, and Ring Fit Adventure. Digital sales, how much do you think those went up year over year?
20%,
Higher,
50%,
higher,
higher, 70,
higher. You're getting close, but higher.
100%.
100%.
What?
Yeah, so digital sales have just about doubled year over year for Nintendo.
I wonder why that is.
I wonder. Well, people with that are bought into the Switch and COVID, I'm guessing. Do you guys know how many Switch units that have been sold so far?
Oh, um, was it? They're at 75 million, no?
Ooh, you're so close.
73, no?
Oh, you're in the middle. I mean, you're like smushed or like on the outsides. 73,
70.
75 is the one in the middle.
Oh,
74
74.
million.
Dang.
74. The Switch has sold 74 million units, so in people's hands. That's just about it for their financials, but I still have a couple of tidbits about their plans. So this is from Tom Ivan at Video Games Chronicle. President Furukawa says that the Switch is now in the middle of its life cycle and that it is important for Nintendo to provide the next title of interest to each of their various consumers. And also, Joe Strebels from IGN, he reports Nintendo is not planning to announce a new Switch model anytime soon. And this is from Scott Baird at Screen Rant. Switch games will be revealed at the appropriate time, quote unquote. The appropriate time. So, Nintendo's trying to look out for its various consumers. They're not planning to announce a new Switch anytime soon, quote unquote. And they're going to reveal games at quote unquote the appropriate time. Any of this news surprising to you? Do you think this is a good move?
I mean, I feel like they're kind of contradictory, the statements. There's like, oh, yeah, we gotta, you know, address our consumers at the appropriate time. And it's like, okay,
Basically,
so when? Um, I mean, I think last year they were waiting, just with the whole pandemic. I think even like production slowed down, so I think that also kind of had to do with it.
Hmm.
But I know that, I mean, I'm pretty sure they know that they just can't not do anything at this point. Like, they have to continue. Otherwise, they'll never reveal anything with the way the pandemic is going. Um,
Yeah.
so I know, I mean, I want to believe that they'll reveal or, talk about new releases this year. Um, but, who knows? Who knows when is the appropriate time for them? So
Yeah.
I know this month is like Legend of Zelda anniversary
Hmm.
month.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I imagine they're gonna have something to announce this month. So we shall see.
Yeah. Luis, do you have anything to add, or do you think Jose did a good job summing up your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. I think I read in the same report. I think that they were saying that they'll tell us about the future games that they have planned this fiscal year, and they
Oh,
mentioned
really?
that for February, I think they have 3D World, and next month they have and Bravely Default as well.
Hmm.
And then for next month they have Rise,
Yep.
and then the month after that is Pokemon Snap. So, um, and then they'll talk about what comes after that when the time comes, I guess.
Right.
Um, so, I think they do have plans to talk about, for example, the Zelda stuff and maybe like other, because there's a lot of anniversaries this year, so there might be some stuff that they talk about. Um, and but yeah, I mean, it's I get it. Um, I do feel like we'll get a direct, um, maybe by the end of April, or like maybe for like the E3 stuff,
Hmm.
and then we'll see what comes next.
Totally. I'm gonna take care of something that's in the chat really quick. Let's see. How do I do this? Is it right click? There's a bot, so sometimes there's bots in the chat, so I just gotta take care of it. Uh, just go and I guess I'll just block. Oh, okay, okay. Never mind. I remember how to do it. Okay, okay. So that's all that I have for Nintendo. You guys ready to move on?
Yes,
Okay. Sony. So Sony's financial results. The interesting thing about Sony is that they're not they have a lot of different segments. Um, what we're looking at though is their what do they call it? Games and network services, I believe their segment is called, the one that we're interested in. So Sony has made $2.9 billion of operating profit from game and network services. That is a 61% increase year over year. They attribute this increase to more game sales, more PlayStation Plus subscriptions, profit from PS4s, and they also mentioned that they lost money because of the PS5 launch, the expenses related to the PS5 launch, and because they're selling PS5s at a price lower than the manufacturing cost, which is a detail I found from Owen S. Good at Polygon. So yeah, even Sony,
that's
they're not.
interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't know that they were selling it at a lower price.
Right?
Is that always the case?
Um, I wouldn't say always the case, but the consoles they have to be competitive because they're kind of catering to people that aren't like in the PC game where they're willing to spend thousands of dollars on hardware.
Right.
So they're always trying to be competitive, and I feel like most of the time they're at least meeting the manufacturing cost, if not going under.
I didn't
Yeah,
know that. That's interesting.
yeah.
But I guess
Maybe
it's an investment, so
yeah, definitely. Maybe a bit over, but I don't I never really heard of like, oh yeah, we're selling this at a profit, like in like I don't know, but yeah, PS5 is selling at a loss. Um, Additional details we have from Sam Byford from The Verge. The PS5 has sold 4.5 million units, but could have sold more if they were able to meet demand. And this is kind of interesting. Unlike Nintendo, Sony's first party games make up about 18% of the software units they sold on their PS4 and PS5 platforms. So 18% of the units they sold are from them in house. And then the remainder is second, third party games.
and this is for last fiscal year?
Oh, this is for the same time frame. So end of April,
Okay.
or beginning of April, end of December. Thanks for
All right.
correcting me on that. We needed to know that.
Mhm. I guess it can make sense because the PS4 was already on its way out, and and then for PS5, uh, there's not really a lot of first party games. But I mean that's interesting though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
18%. That's crazy. Because like Nintendo has a 81%, no, or something like that. You said.
Yeah, so the difference there is the stats are a little bit different because the 81% for Nintendo was sales, like money earned,
Hmm.
and this is units.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, it's a little different, but still like 18% of everything.
That's surprising.
Yeah. Um, that makes you wonder, like, how much are those exclusives benefiting Sony?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they started like porting their games to PC and things like that.
Yeah, it makes business sense.
Hmm. I guess people are just getting PS5s for their Apex and Fortnite
The Call of Duties.
fix, their Call of Duties.
That makes it special. That's how I see it.
Nintendo
no,
reigns supreme. Yeah, it's good.
no shade, no shade.
No shade.
All right,
Are you firing shots this early in the morning?
it's too early. Okay, so I have one additional detail. Um, Not about their financials, but they made a move recently that was kind of interesting. So this is from Otto Kratky from DualShockers. Uh, Sony has bought a 1.93% ownership from FromSoftware's parent company, Kadokawa Corporation. So FromSoftware, they make the Souls games most famously. So what Kadokawa Corporation is, I did a little bit of Googling. It's like a big name in Japanese media. So they have like a hand in producing anime and manga, different things like that. I think films as well. Maybe it was a little bit murky on the films, but they're just like a big Japanese media corporation. Um, they said that they're looking to utilize Sony's global expansion power and animation and consumer games. So they see Sony as beneficial to them, and I'm sure Sony also thinks the same way, the opposite way. That Kadokawa Corporation is beneficial to Sony. What I'm theorizing is that they want Kadokawa Corporation, they want to take advantage of Sony's reach and expertise in video games, while Sony wants more content for their devices and services. That's what I think is happening here. It's interesting that they went after the corporation that has From Software. Does that mean Bloodborne Team is coming to PlayStation exclusively?
Perhaps check out our next video on our channel talking about this nice game.
Shout out,
Shout out.
man. Why do I need to stop saying that so much. That's so easy allies, man. We need our own thing.
I know.
We'll figure it out.
Um, yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll talk about it behind the doors. We'll surprise y'all.
Copyright infringement.
Copyrighted. All right. Yeah. So I know that was a lot of business stuff. You guys' brain still okay?
Yeah, we're good.
You good?
Yeah,
Okay.
hang on.
Cool. Not to say that you guys are dumb. Just, just I know there's a lot of information.
The shade.
This early in the morning, man. Dang, you gotta stop. Okay. So that's enough about business stuff. Uh, let's talk about Mass Effect Legendary Edition. How much details do you guys know about this announcement?
So for this, I know nothing. No, I know. I mean, just the basics. I mean, it has improved graphics. Uh, I remember seeing something that a lot of people, or I saw like people complaining about, or they didn't really like. I think it was like the whole you have to create an account. I think like an EA thing, and
Hmm. Didn't hear about
something
that.
like that. I don't know, but um, honestly, I'm not too sure
Okay. Okay.
about what it is, uh, but yeah, like details regarding like the gameplay or the mechanics and the improvements. I'm not as aware of that.
Okay. So I went on BioWare's official or the Mass Effect Legendary Edition official website, and I got the details for you, bro. Don't worry about
Nice.
it. All right. So what this is what's going to be included in the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Um, all three games are going to be included, and 40 DLC. So when they say 40 DLC, they're talking about like cosmetics as well as like story expansions. They're not going to be including this. I got this detail from listening to other stuff. They're not going to be including one specific DLC called the Pinnacle Station for the first Mass Effect because it got corrupted. And
Oh, what?
I'm like, I mean, I guess I'll give you a pass because it's an old game from like Unreal Engine
Mhm.
3, but supposedly
But
that
well, damn.
supposedly that piece of DLC was made by like a different studio, which is interesting.
Mm,
They had to hit up that studio and be like, "Hey, do you have the source code for this?" And they're like,
I
"Yeah, we
know.
got you, chief." And then they're like, "Oh wait, it's corrupted here too, though."
I know. It's like no, never mind.
Never mind. Yeah, so Bioware didn't have the code. They had to call somebody. It was corrupted. It's not gonna happen now.
So it's not a complete edition then.
Yeah, it's a almost legendary edition. All right, so it's going to have 4K Ultra HD, enhanced performance, visuals, graphics, and HDR capability. In addition to that, enhanced models, shaders, visual effects, lighting, depth of field. There's going to be new customization options for Shepard. You're going to be able to take your character is going to look the same throughout the trilogy um, from the character creator, which is going to be nice. Um, in addition to that, there's going to be improved aiming, weapons balance, sound effects, better Mako controls, which is like it's like a tank-ish kind of vehicle that you maneuver in the first game, especially. Controls are going to be better. Squad and cover behavior and gameplay cameras in the original Mass Effect are going to be better. It's a lot of nitty gritty stuff. So Mass Effect, the first game is going to be visually enhanced. There's going to be performance mode options. PC quality of life changes that includes controller support. And unfortunately, like we said earlier, there's going to be no Mass Effect 3 multiplayer included.
Ooh. And this Legendary Edition, not so legendary. Maybe it's
Maybe it's
maybe
greatness,
iconic. Yeah. Maybe great edition.
the great
Just kidding.
edition. I don't know, man. Yeah, see, like most of the stuff, almost all this stuff is hidden, but then they'll just hit you with like no multiplayer. This DLC is not gonna be here. Like, oh, ow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for the most part, I'm really excited to revisit the first Mass Effect because a lot of their development time went into that first game, and it really needed it because if people are starting off with that first game, it needs to make a good impression, and how it was is not going to make a good impression for most people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen screenshots of like comparisons of the games, and I mean, yeah, it's a huge improvement with
Hmm.
what they did in this edition.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm kind of looking forward to it, because I know you've talked a lot about these games. It's I think it's your favorite franchise or one of your favorite franchises, and
Probably like my third favorite.
mhm.
Yeah.
So I've heard good things about it all over Twitter as well, all over the internet. So I'm kind of leaning towards trying it out.
Yeah. Especially like after playing the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer last night, I just remember how good the gameplay like flow felt. Um, it's not too varied. Most of it boils down to going to a certain location, shooting a bunch of enemies, and participating in dialogue. But I feel like how they execute it and how much care is put into every character, and how after like 8 years from playing Mass Effect 3, I like all those memories are rushing back. Like it hasn't been 8 years; it's been like a year at most. Um, I think it speaks to the quality of the experience that people will be having pretty soon. But yeah, Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Look it up, see if that interests you. I give it my seal of approval. I feel like you're going to have a lot of good memories coming out of playing this trilogy. We got one more thing to talk about. You guys ready for it?
Let's do it.
Okay. Google Stadia. Y'all ready for this?
Isn't that dead already? Apparently,
It's not
people
dead.
weren't ready for it. Am I right?
It's not dead.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm not offended. I'm just stating facts.
True.
All right. So Google Stadia's internal development is shutting down. This is from Michael McWhorter from Polygon. Stadia Games and Entertainment is closing down. The studio's VP and approximately 150 developers will be impacted. Um, I forget Harrison. I forget what his title is, but Harrison from Google. His last name is Harrison. He said that Google will continue to support Stadia and expand its effort to help third-party developers and publishers bring their games to the cloud gaming platform. In a quote, he says, "We are committed to the future of cloud gaming and will continue to do our part to drive this industry forward. Our goal remains focused on creating the best possible platform for gamers and technology for our partners, bringing these experiences to life for people everywhere." Yeah, it's just seems like they're just gonna be doing what they're doing, just not making exclusive games. That's not, in my opinion,
Well,
that's not helping out their case too much, but
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think even from the start when Ghost Data was announced, like a lot of people were very skeptical about it. Um, and I mean,
Mm.
do they give a reason why they shutting down?
Um, I don't have the detail with me, like from the source, but I did read that it was just costing too much. Like it was the cost was becoming exponential, and they didn't want to support it anymore.
Yeah.
And that sounds
So I
like
mean,
a
it
lame
sounds like they were
excuse.
struggling.
They're freaking Google, dude. They had the money.
That's
Don't
true, though.
don't play us.
That's true. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes from here.
yeah. Ah, I mean, they still have potential theoretically to make a really good cloud gaming platform. Like I just go into Google and it runs at 60 frames per second. The pricing is nice, but oof, it's hard to envision. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for the news this week. We actually got through it faster than I thought. You guys are good co-hosts. I gotta put more out there for y'all. So that brings us to the game that we're gonna play at the end of our podcast that we're doing. We're on year 1997. We're going to be ranking the uh, top games from 1997 as chosen by us. We have chosen five, and those games are Final Fantasy VII, the original, GoldenEye 007, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Star Fox 64, and Grand Theft Auto. All right.
All right.
All right. All right. I think this is easier to start with the first.
What's your first?
Final Fantasy VII.
You know
What
what?
y'all think?
Um, yeah, I agree. I
Set
was I
this.
was gonna say,
Go ahead.
um, okay, so it's GoldenEye,
Golden,
GTA, GoldenEye,
Star Fox,
Star Fox,
Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Castlevania. Hmm.
Remember
I was gonna
GT?
say,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say maybe GoldenEye, but I don't know. I don't know if
GoldenEye.
its impact it's at
Hmm.
number one.
Ooh, okay.
Is this the first entry in the series for Castlevania?
Don't think so. Let me see.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So that I don't think that should be number one, if it's not the first.
I feel
Um,
like this Castlevania is like the Super Metroid of the Castlevania series, though.
Right, like a lot of people talk about this game, like it's peak Castlevania.
Castlevania first
well, that one
game.
deserves number one.
Castlevania's first game was like in 1986, as per Google. Okay, so you say GoldenEye. Um,
How is GoldenEye deserving of the number one spot, Luis?
Well, I didn't it like perfect or not perfect because it's not perfect, but they they changed how like shooters work,
I
like first
feel
person shooters,
I feel like there
and
was
then
something
yeah,
there. Yeah,
and then um the whole multiplayer um thing as well. Like it sort of like changed the game, uh, like regarding multiplayer and like the first person shooter. Um,
sure. Yeah. Huh. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. It's an interesting point because I don't know the magnitude of that influence. Like if there was something
mhm.
before it that GoldenEye just kind of gobbled up because it was a better version or something. Let me see. GoldenEye 07 first.
Why do you
Well,
think Final Fantasy VII deserves the number one spot, Ray?
I would say because it's basically like when you say JRPG, people are just like that's pretty much the first thing that comes to mind. Um, uh, like a groundbreaking setting, I would say, because of the cyberpunk setting in a JRPG. And iconic characters, and we got a freaking remake of it, and it sold millions and millions. People were so hyped for it. I feel like its influence just permeates. Like when you go into video game culture, the first thing you'll probably encounter is Final Fantasy VII.
That's true, and I feel like the characters in Final Fantasy VII have had a much more like cultural impact.
Sure.
Because I mean, we see Cloud in various other games, and still, I mean, it represents the Final Fantasy franchise in Smash.
Yeah,
Eh,
basically, yeah. Because like when you think of the Final Fantasy franchise, like I know there's people who love six, people love three or four, whatever it
yeah,
is, but when you the representative like is seven basically. Hmm.
I kind of agree that Final Fantasy VII deserves to be one.
yeah. I think I'm leaning for towards that as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And not to mention the gameplay, man. Like if you never played
Right.
a JRPG before and you just tried Final Fantasy VII, I feel like that's the one that's going to convince you to. I mean, it's for the old school ones. Like
Right.
if you try like an old school one, I think that one's a good entry point. It's
Okay.
good
So
for its
FF.
time and it's freaking amazing now, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So
And
final.
that's true because I think
Go ahead.
Final Fantasy VII holds up more now than GoldenEye. GoldenEye is kind of like it doesn't really hold up. Um,
Yeah.
and then both got remakes, and GoldenEye, the remake for GoldenEye 7, it was kind of like panned.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, I guess yeah, Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah. Okay. Final Fantasy VII at number one. For number two, it's between GoldenEye and Castlevania, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think so. And it's tough.
Hmm.
Let me see.
Because Symphony of the Night, like I know people love it so much, but I mean, we have Super Metroid in 1994. Like, what does it add to that genre? I know they call it Metroidvania, but what's that Vania that's so important?
Right.
If only we had our boy. He likes Castlevania.
Yeah, he probably um, talk about it in depth
Hmm.
about why it might be like a influential. Well, I mean, going back to the whole when we talked about it like last time um, for 1996, we have to take into account like a lot of things. How they influenced the industry,
Yeah.
how good the game was, and then how does it hold up now, and so going
Mm-hmm.
back to what we just said, I think Castlevania holds up more than GoldenEye.
It does.
Mhm. I mean, you can see it, whenever you see
Oh
the
man.
gameplay of both. But then we talk about like the influence that the games had. Um,
Mm-hmm. Because like
so
for GoldenEye, I'm thinking like I'm thinking of Doom, right? First person shooter, and then my mind goes to Halo, and they're so different. Like, what was the in
right.
between there? GoldenEye, of course, but
hmm And actually, I was looking up like really quick on the GoldenEye wiki,
hmm
and it does mention, that GoldenEye was considered uh, like it was like a huge staple in like the first shooter until Halo came in. and
Okay.
you're looking at that, it's kind of like, well, yeah, Halo changed the game as well, and I
Right.
think Halo had a much bigger impact than GoldenEye had. But I mean, obviously GoldenEye was like, I guess, the first one of the first to do it.
Did
But I think Halo just
keep going?
I think Halo just surpassed, in terms of like the influence. I think Halo is a much more influential game.
Hmm. Hey, did Perfect Dark come out before GoldenEye?
I think I think it was around the same time. Let me
Let's
see.
see. Yeah.
Perfect Dark. That's true.
Oh no. This it came out in 2000.
A few years later.
Yeah. Oh, this is hard. Ooh, this is hard.
What's your gut?
My gut.
Um,
Ooh. My gut's telling me two different things. It's so hard.
yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say GoldenEye, dude.
How about you, Jose? Um, I think I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go with GoldenEye as well. Same. I was leaning towards GoldenEye,
Yeah.
and it's hard. It's because I don't know if, again, we're talking about the games of the year, right? Like, did I feel like people enjoyed GoldenEye at that time because the multiplayer and all that, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like a huge deal. Was Symphony of the Night like that big of a deal as well, or did it become
Uh,
like over time it became like this this must play game,
yeah, that's a good question. I feel like the
But I don't know.
GoldenEye. I
Yeah,
feel like the GoldenEye in the moment was hard to match, like you say.
right.
Hmm. And then first-person shooters just changed for if it's true, which we're guessing it is. Like it was a stepping stone for your Destiny, your Halo, your
Right.
Call of Duty. It just like it changed the
Call of
game.
Duty.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oof. Yeah, I think it earns that number two spot definitely.
Yeah, I go with GoldenEye. Same.
Yeah. Okay, so that means Symphony of the Night has to be three because it was close.
Right. Yes.
All right, so that leaves
Now we
the
have.
original GTA and Star Fox 64. So the original GTA is nothing like the GTA we know now.
Hmm.
It was over the top, um, stealing cars, pretty simple.
And it was like a. It wasn't like a sorry. It was like top down. No, like you would see it from the top.
Yeah, I don't even know if you could steal cars. I don't. I play like a mobile version, like a knockoff GTA, like original GTA, where you just like run over people
Hmm.
and stuff.
Right. It's way different than it
Yeah.
is now.
Yes. So different. But from that,
I think Star
uh,
Fox
yeah,
deserves the fourth spot.
yeah, Star Fox
I never played
64.
either.
Oh man, Star Fox. Like, what is that? What did that do though? Like, do you think that influenced like Ace Combat or something, like a flight games
Well,
in the
it's
future?
the way I see it is GTA. Um, like when people think of GTA, they think of like the newer games. As you guys said, like that first one is completely different from the rest.
Hmm.
So I feel like Grand Theft Auto kind of found its footing later on in its lifetime. Whereas I feel like Star Fox, when it was first released, I mean Star um what's his name? Fox. What's his name? His last name?
McLeod.
McLeod?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Like I don't know, I feel like he came from Nintendo, so I mean he became kind of like a staple character, an iconic character
Right.
right off the bat. to the point where he was one of the featured, you know, playable characters in Smash um, later on. Um, and I mean, I'm not really, I haven't played Star Fox, so I'm just looking at it from a like cultural impact
Right, right.
perspective,
Hmm.
aspect. As far as like the gameplay of the game goes, um, I don't know if it became like this stepping stone, the same way that GoldenEye became a stepping stone for that genre. I don't know if Star Fox influenced future games, um, but I know like at least within Nintendo, Star Fox, like Star Fox's gameplay is it's pretty unique. I don't think they've ever even tried to do that same type of game
Hmm.
within Nintendo at least.
Right.
Um, so that's why I'm kind of considering. I'm not sure what you guys think.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Star Fox 64 as well. It was one of the. It had to be one of the earliest like 3D flight games that reached
Right.
that level of quality, and I feel like it did have an influence. Mm, they tried it again with Zero. Didn't People didn't like that too much. Um, Star Fox, as you say, is iconic. Has a lot of potential left. Um,
Nintendo really needs to give like these franchises more love, honestly.
yeah,
Like invest in it. But
yeah,
anyway, sorry, that's besides the point.
yeah. I'm done with Star Fox. Feels right.
Yeah, I go with Star Fox too.
Okay, Star Fox number 4. That leaves GTA the number 5 spots. Okay, so the list goes number 5 GTA, number 4 Star Fox 64, number 3 Castlevania Symphony of the Night, number 2 GoldenEye 007, and number 1 Final Fantasy 7.
Good list. Good list.
I like it.
Far less complicated than last week's.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, definitely. All right. Well, actually, the GoldenEye Final Fantasy debate was kind of tough in the Castlevania. I was getting flashbacks.
Then another tie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for the podcast. That went quicker than expected, but it was a good podcast nonetheless. Um, we are Roll Jump Media. We do this podcast. We aim to do it every week. We also stream on Twitch. We also have YouTube videos. We're on Apple and Spotify, their podcast services. So if you want to check us out there, feel free to. And yeah, we'll see you on the next episode. Before we sign off, do my co hosts have anything to say to the audience?
Thank you guys for tuning in. Till next time. Thank you, everyone, um, for listening to us. And once again, reminder: play some Monster Hunter stories.
Monster Hunter! All right. Later, guys. See you next time.